All right, we're live. Let's go. NFL Week 9 preview. Let's go. We're live. All right, just confirming that we're live on my end. And I'm going to go and tweet out the link. Wait for a couple people to get in, and then it's going to be an exciting week, guys. It's going to be an exciting week. There's a lot of good games this week. A lot of ones that I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to the Packers and Lions game. That's going to be one of the best games of the week, in my opinion. I know that's not really a hot take, but it is definitely one I am looking forward to. I am also looking forward to see how the Bengals play this week. I'm also looking forward to Broncos Ravens, and I didn't think that would be one that I said at the beginning of the year that heading into Week 9, I'm actually looking forward to Broncos Ravens. I think that could be a potential telling game. So I see the chat starting to pop off a little bit, and tweeting out the link. And here we are. All right, what's up? How we doing? Mike, Jamie, JSC, Elijah, how we doing? Best NFL YouTuber, appreciate that. Let's see. Hope you had a nice Halloween. You too, Doug. I appreciate it. I was passing out candy. My dog was out there. She had a Halloween scarf on. It's pretty festive, if you might say. It was a good time. Nice shirt. I appreciate it. It's actually like 75 out today here in the great state of Maryland. So I'm not going to get many more chances to wear the Hawaiians this summer. So wanted to go ahead and wanted to wear it one more time. So let's go ahead and dive into the first game. We have Cowboys at Falcons. Let me go ahead and pull the at text up there. So we have Cowboys Falcons, and I want to pull up my notes for this game. The Cowboys, of course, one of the big things to note here with Dallas is they are in a bad situation for a couple of reasons. They are one-dimensional offensively, but they're also out a couple of players, and they're out one of the best players in football in Michael Parsons, and they can't run the ball on offense, and they can't stop the ball on defense, which creates a major problem. And I know they almost came back against the 49ers last week, but I thought the 49ers could have played better down the stretch. It was not a typical 30-24 final, and I think even Cowboys fans would acknowledge that. The Cowboys also, their game prior to that was the 47-9 loss against the Lions back in Week 6. And this game in particular, guys, I am going to have to side with the Falcons. I think the Falcons are going to win. I think it's going to be the Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier show. I know Kirk has improved since the first couple of weeks, and I think he's played all right, but I mean, guys, I would try and take the ball. I got a sneeze coming up. Ooh. I have a sneeze coming. But anyway, Kirk has played better. I'm sorry about that. Kirk has played better over the past couple of weeks. He has 2 offensive player of the weeks, I'm going to say, in the past 3 or 4 games. Both were against the Bucs. But you're going up against a team that can't stop the run. You're going up against a team that's allowed 180 or more yards on the ground in each of the past 2 games. You have a really good two-headed monster at running back in Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. Pound the rock. And the thing with the Cowboys is they are not good offensively. Like we said, well, they're 30th in turnovers. They're also 26th in turnovers forced defensively. So they're already -8 on the year in turnover margin, and they're 3-4. I think McCarthy will be fired at worst at season's end. And when you look at the Cowboys' schedule coming up, they play at Atlanta, home against the Eagles, home against the Texans, at Washington. There's a real chance that they go maybe 1-3 in that stretch, and then they would be 4-8 through 12 games. This is a tough stretch for Dallas. So I am going to side with the Falcons here, and I do think the Falcons win this game. All right, let's go ahead. Let's read some comments here. We have Broncos Ravens next. Falcons buy whatever they want. Well, we got 2 inches of slush yesterday in Minnesota. That stinks. That stinks. That is just a tough one. Snow is awful. I am not a fan of snow at all. I'm just not a fan of snow. Let's keep it rolling here. Xander, here we going? He says Flacco plays the worst half of football of all time. Come on. And Eric comes in and makes the biggest comeback in NFL history against the Vikings for revenge. You had me. Xander, come on. Of all time, we'll see. Falcons win 24-21. I think it'll be 24-17. I mean, the Cowboys, I don't think they're going to get blown out by any means. I don't think Atlanta's defense is that good to hold the Cowboys defense, to hold them to a shutout. But I think Atlanta will win that game. All right. You don't think the Falcons can blow this with that pass rush? nothing about this game is just like, man, I can't wait to watch this. I mean, it's gonna be an A game played. I just think it's gonna be like run. It should be the Falcons dominate the game in the run. That's how it should be played. All right, Patriots 2-game win streak, says Amstel. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it, Jonathan. Let's see here. Should I start Tillman or DJ Moore? I'd probably start DJ Moore, but we'll get to that. So the Broncos and Ravens are up. This is, to me, a highly anticipated game. The Broncos are 5-3. The Ravens are 5-3. The Broncos, I want to say, are over a touchdown underdog, which kind of surprised me. I thought it'd be maybe 6, but I want to say it's like 8.5. The Ravens, of course, last week allowed over 330 yards passing and 3 passing touchdowns to Jameis Winston, and they did not look good defensively, and that's been a problem. And we're halfway into the year now, and there was a part of me for the first couple of games that was kind of like, okay, like once the Ravens defense gets going, we're going to be all right. And I think there's a chance that Bo Nix has a really good game against the Ravens this week. Bo Nix is a lot more of a dual threat than people are acknowledging. I think he is playing solid ball as a rookie quarterback. And the Broncos last week, they beat the Panthers 28-14. They beat the Saints before that 33-10. And they are back-to-back weeks. They are outscoring their opponents 61-24. And of course, it's the Saints and Panthers, and it was the Spencer Rattler Saints. So that's going to be a little skewed. I mean, you're playing Spencer Rattler and Bryce Young, a little different than Lamar Jackson, who is expected to play. That was definitely a note heading into this game. But the Broncos are playing a lot better than I thought they would have. The defense is great, truly. They're third in points allowed per game. They have created 12 turnovers defensively this year, which is 9th in the NFL. They're holding opposing quarterbacks to a net yards of attempt of just 4.7 yards, which ranks first in the NFL. Opposing running teams, or opposing rushing statistics is what I'm looking for here. So opposing runners, there we go, are averaging just 4 yards per carry, which is 5th in the NFL. And Denver is a no-fly zone. They are a really good defense. The key to Denver for winning this game is, man, it's going to be tough, because the key is going to be that you have to stop Derrick Henry. You have to stop Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry gets rolling, it's going to be a long day for anybody. You have to stop Derrick Henry. It's also going to be Deontay Johnson's first game as a Raven, and we get to see the duo of Zay Flowers and Deontay Johnson. Now, I am under the belief that I think John Harbaugh and Todd Monken and Lamar, even though Lamar's not fully 100%, the Ravens were embarrassed last week despite only losing by 1 score. That is not Baltimore Raven football at all. And I think they're going to come back home at M&C. I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be close, though, because the Broncos defense is phenomenal. But I do think I generally will side with the 2-time winning MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson, the 2,000-yard running back in Derrick Henry, who was still great and still very much in his prime. And given that they just traded for Deontay Johnson, they improved the receiving core. I am going to side with the Ravens in this one. I think it's going to be close, though. I think the spread's like I said, like 8.5. I'm still going to side with the Ravens. All right, let's see here. The trade for Deontay Johnson was dumb. I think it was dumb for the Panthers. I don't think it was dumb for the Ravens at all. Let's read some more comments here. All right, let's see here. Ravens play down to bad teams. At times they do. I mean, then there's also games where they play up and beat the Bills by 25 points. So that is one thing. I mean, I don't think it's going to be I don't think it is set in stone the Ravens are going to win, that it's not even a possibility Denver wins. I don't think that at all. I think I'm just generally going to side with the Ravens in that one. And somebody commented this. Amstel said, hit the thumbs up button. So hit the thumbs up button if you guys are enjoying. We're at 25 likes. Let's go and get it up to 50. Let's go and get it up to 50, guys. Lamar back and knee problems, but he's on the field practicing. I did see that. Let's see here. Josh Downs or Amari Cooper. Zach, you want to comment that a couple more times? I'm not sure if you've asked enough. I would probably go Josh Downs against the Vikings. We'll get there, though. I'm joking, of course, by the way. I mean that in a good manner. But let's keep it rolling here, especially since Baltimore did not utilize Henry much last week. They should feed him versus Denver's passing defense. I would agree with that. All right, Saints-Panthers. All right, let's keep it going here. The Saints started out 2-0. They are now 2-6. It has been a very, very long 6 games for the Saints. And it also didn't help that they lost Derek Carr throughout a portion of this. And whenever you are going on the road against the Chargers and Jesse Minter's defense and even the Broncos defense the week before that, and you have a rookie quarterback, a 5th-round rookie quarterback, a loss, well, 2 losses, should have been expected. So I don't think the Saints are a true... Never mind, I thought I saw something in the comments, sorry. I don't think the Saints are a true 2-6 team. I don't think they are like a 6-2 team, of course, but I think they are simply a lot more talented than the Panthers. I mean, guys, this Panthers team is not good, and we know that, and unfortunately, everybody knows that this Panthers team is not very good, and it's a frustrating situation. I feel bad for a lot of players in this locker room, in this organization right now, but the Panthers' top 3 receivers right now are a 34-year-old Adam Thielen, a rookie Xavier Legette, and a rookie Jake Coker. And if you guys have been following the Panthers at all, then you know what Jake Coker's nickname is, or at least the fans of Jake Coker, and it's a pretty funny nickname. If you guys want to comment that, go for it. But he that's saying that as your top 3 trio is something in the year 2024. So needless to say, I really don't think that the Panthers are going to win. And when you ask the question, if you have Derek Carr coming back, or I'll go like this since the logo's right here. You have Derek Carr coming back against Bryce Young. Guys, who are you going to trust? As simple as this question is, who are you going to trust to put up more points? Because I know who I'm going to trust to put up more points. And I'm going with the Saints to win this one. The Saints need this. If they have any chance of getting to the playoffs, which I mean, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but if they have any chance at all, it starts with a win in this game, and I don't think that's going to happen. Excuse me, the playoffs not going to happen, the win will, but I think the Saints are going to win. It's going to be like 23-13. Guys, I didn't trust Bryce Young with Deontay Johnson and Thielen and Coker and Xavier Legette. I don't trust him without Deontay Johnson. If Jonathan Brooks plays in this game, he'll hopefully play good. I mean, he's coming off a major injury. I hope Jonathan Brooks is healthy, of course, but guys, you got to remember, the Panthers are not a good team. All right, let's keep it going here. Let's see here. Grafale 1946, appreciate the super chat. Big fan of the channel. Keep doing your thing. Go Ravens. Go Flock, baby. Like I said, I am from Maryland. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, go Flock. I'm a big Lamar fan. Love Lamar. And yeah, I want Lamar to get a ring. I would love for Lamar to get a ring. Please, like, I would love Lamar to get a ring. And yes, good. My mom does not like Jake Coker's nickname. It is pretty funny. It is hilarious, by the way. Let's read some more comments here. All right. Will the Saints ever rebuild? Good question, man. Good question. Thoughts on Coker? He's been playing pretty well. I do. I mean, he's been playing well. I don't want to get ahead of myself and give him a ranking or anything, but it's in what is a dismal situation in Carolina. Jake Coker and Xavier Legette, when they actually, give him the ball, have been bright spots. So that's probably my as far as I'm going to go with that. He's been a bright spot. It's good to see. I really hope they continue to feed him the ball. I really want the Panthers one game just to give Xavier Legette like 10 or 12 targets. We're down 15 points in the fourth quarter. Xavier, here's the ball in the next five of the next 6 plays. He's been playing good, man, for the situation. Xavier Legette's been fine. All right, let's see here. Broncos winning 3 Super Bowls in a row. I would not go out on a limb and say that one. All right, so like I said, if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. We're at 39. Let's go ahead and get it up to 60. Let's get it up to 60. We're having a good time here on a Friday afternoon. What's my opinion on Joe Flacco starting? We'll get to that. But I am more scared of Joe Flacco as a Vikings fan than I am Anthony Richardson by a lot, and we'll discuss that in a minute. And then I wanted to address one other comment. Jesus, I've been watching your channel for a long time, love the channel, and I appreciate that as well, Jesus. So appreciate everyone being in here. Hopefully we're having a good Friday. Do I think Bryce Young could still win the starting job again? It would be tough. The thing with Bryce is, I mean, we got to see flashes, man. If there's anything to hold your hat on, we got to see flashes. And I just think Bryce right now in Carolina is broken beyond repair in Carolina. I think he can take a year off, kind of get his head back together. I think he'll be good. I think he can be okay somewhere else. I just don't see it in Carolina personally. All right, Dolphins at Bills. All right, let's keep it going here. All right, the Dolphins right now, they have not put up 100 total points on the year. Obviously very concerning, especially considering they put up 27 points last week. They are now 2-5, and the Bills are 6-2, and these teams played earlier in the year. And Tua played most of that game. Whenever they played the Bills, the Dolphins lost 31-10. And guys, I mean, it goes back to the concept of who are you going to trust to put up more points on the scoreboard, Tua or Josh? And I would also like to note that the Bills generally do a really good job of keeping Tyreek in check. Tyreek has played the Bills countless times over the years, and he has one 100-yard game in all of the games that he's played the Bills. And it was in the playoffs, so Tyreek has never had a 100-yard game in the regular season against Buffalo. Miami's going to be on the road. They lost in Buffalo last year 48-20. Saying they're going to lose by 4 touchdowns would be a lot. They already lost by 3 touchdowns to the Bills once this year. But, guys, Buffalo is a really good team. And what's crazy is this was supposed to be a transition year for the Bills. I think it's clearly more than a transition year. The Bills have won in back-to-back weeks by 3 scores. They won 34-10 in Week 7 against the Titans. And they won on the road last week in Seattle 31-10. And to at least be fair, Seattle had a couple of chances in that game. And we'll get to that later when we discuss the Seahawks. But, guys, I'm not going to choose the Dolphins to go on the road in Buffalo when they are dead last in points per game, when Buffalo clearly has their number. Give me Buffalo. I think it might be 31-17. The Dolphins are not on the Bills level, so definitely give me Buffalo over Miami. All right, let's keep it going here. All right, let's see, read some comments. Greetings from Austria. Love the content. I appreciate that, Jacob. That is also very humbling, and I do appreciate that. Let's go Shepherd Rams. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Ram up. Go Ram up. Tyson Bagent, Agent Bagent, baby. Let's go. All right, let's see here. Bonix Rookie of the Year run. I would be kind of surprised just because I think Jaden Daniels is the pretty clear favorite right now. I would be pretty surprised by that. Let's see here. Bengals are still in the season. They are. And this is here's one thing for the Bengals. This is going to be a pretty laughable comparison here. The Bengals are 3-5. The comparison here is the Bengals are 29th in rushing touchdowns allowed. They're 24th in rushing yards allowed. The Raiders, if you guys do not know, cannot run the ball at all. At all. And just to give you a reference, they're 31st in rushing yards as a team. They are 31st in yards per attempt as a team. And the Raiders have, let's see here, their leading rusher through, what are they, 3-5? They're 2-6 rather. Through 8 games, their leading rusher has 265 rushing yards and is averaging 33.1 yards per game. So, I mean, guys, if you can't run the ball, which the Raiders clearly can't, their quarterback is also not good in Gardner Minshew. The Raiders have one way to win this game. And their way to win the game against the Bengals is for Gardner Minshew to play at an elite level and to hope that the defense can make a couple stops. And I don't think that's going to happen. At least the Gardner Minshew part. The defense can make a couple stops. But the Gardner Minshew part is a tall ask. And the reason why I think the defense can make a couple of stops is despite them being 27th in points allowed per game and the Raiders getting, beat pretty handedly in a couple of games this year, they're actually 11th in yards allowed. So it's not as misleading as the points allowed may seem. I mean, the Raiders' defense isn't bad. They have a lot of playmakers on that side of the ball. But, guys, it comes down to this. Who do you trust more? Especially with the Bengals season on the line. If the Bengals fall to 3-6, they're done. Keep in mind, I think they're done now because I don't think they're going to finish 11-6 and then win 3 straight road playoff games, or even 10-7, whatever the case may be. I don't think they're going to win 3 straight playoff games to go to the Super Bowl. So in that sense, I do think the Bengals are done. But obviously, within the Bengals organization, they're going to say, hey, we have Joe Burrow, we have Jamar, we can still pull it together, and they're fighting for their lives for the season. They're going to think that they can still win the Super Bowl. My point is, Gardner Minshew, Joe Burrow, who are you trusting? That's really what it boils down to. That is what it boils down to. Give me the Bengals. I think it's going to be close, though. I do think it will be close. But definitely give me the Bengals in that game. All right, Lizium, appreciate the super chat. Really appreciate the super chat. Good job with the content. That was certainly a game that was played, is now what I used to describe a bad game. I mean, it's a classic. It's a classic. And there's a lot of Panthers games, unfortunately, are just games that were played. I mean, last week against the Broncos, it was a game that was played. And I have a feeling it's going to be that way against the Saints this week. I keep in mind, I want the Panthers to do well. I want Dave Canales. I want Bryce Young to do well. They concern me so much, man. Chargers, Browns. And this is going to be, I think this is going to be one of the better games of the week. Because the Browns realize, well, I mean, I think they knew this before. They just couldn't because of the financial commitment they have to another quarterback. But the best quarterback on the Browns roster played last week. And he threw for 330 yards, and he threw for 3 touchdowns. And we saw what happened. They put up 20 points for the first time all season, and they won. Shocking. So with the Browns, the offensive line looked better last week, especially in pass protection. But what needs to be noted with the Browns is I think Nick Chubb still very clearly getting his legs back, and there's definitely going to be a part of people that say, well, Nick Chubb is never going to be the player that he was pre-injury. And I don't think the offensive line is close to as good as it was a couple of years ago. I think everybody would agree with that, even Browns fans. But the Browns are 27th in rushing yards, they're 27th in rushing attempts, and they're 25th in yards per carry. They pretty much acknowledge, hey, we can't run the football, so we're going to try and throw the football. And Cleveland is actually 3rd in passing attempts, and that was certainly a choice when Deshaun was quarterback. But this is going to be an interesting game because it's going to be Jameis against Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. Whether you guys know this or not, the Chargers are 1st in points allowed per game, and they are 8th in yards allowed per game. So the Chargers are a very viable opponent. And the Chargers right now have allowed 20 points just once all year, which was to the Steelers back in week 3, and I think it's worth noting in that game, that was the game Herbert went out, I want to say Slater and Alt went out, and Joey Bosa went out. Steelers won, of course, and they had that big play at the end, that big 50-yard touchdown to, I want to say, Calvin Austin. Good touchdown, good plays are going to happen, they're paid to make plays, but the point is, the Chargers have not allowed more than 370 yards in a game all year. They've allowed, like we said, more than 17 points just once, which was the Steelers game, and Justin Herbert, if you guys are a Justin Herbert fan, like myself, please stand up. Acknowledge yourself in the crowd. Acknowledge yourself in the comments, because I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. Little fun fact, I have one NFL jersey purchased in my life that is not for my favorite team, which is the Vikings, of course, and it's Justin Herbert. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, and he has played great over the past couple of weeks. Close to the best quarterback in football over the past couple of weeks. All of this to say, I think Jesse Minter is going to kind of stifle the Browns' passing attack, which is going to be a far cry from what we saw last week. This is going to be one of my favorite games to watch this week, by the way. This is, without a doubt, one of my favorite games to watch this week. And I think it's going to be a 24-17 road victory for the Los Angeles Chargers. And at that point, the Chargers would be 5-3. And they play the Titans next week, could be 6-3. They play the Bengals after that, could be 7-3. And then that would lead them to a Monday night game against the Ravens for the Har Bowl 3 days before Thanksgiving. So, Justin Herbert fans, let's go. I'm not going to lie, I am rooting for the Chargers. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. I'm a big Jim Harbaugh fan, but I also love Jameis. I love Jameis. I love Nick Chubb. But Justin Herbert gets a lot of slander thrown his way, and he's been playing really, really good football. And if Justin Herbert would have a playoff win if he would have played better defense against the Jags a couple years ago. That's also one thing that's like stuck in my mind, just constantly, just the nagging from that game. But let's go Washington and New York here. Commanders, Giants. And like I said, 24-17 Chargers win. I know that was a lot. That was a lot to go for. All right, let's see here. I generally root for anyone the so-called experts hated in their draft class. I would stand by that. Or I do agree with that for the most part. Anytime a player is extremely doubted or extremely just let's just hate on him for the sake of hating on him, I generally do root for the guy. And that's Justin Herbert, I think, is a good example because people love dismissing what Herbert does. Who, in your opinion, has been the most disappointing first-round player so far? I would probably say a player on my own team, and I would probably say Dallas Turner off the top of my head. He's only played 90 defensive snaps, and there's a reason for that. But the thing is, pass rushers, this is kind of a whole spiel, so I'm going to go down this real quick. Pass rushers take time to develop because you go from playing offensive lineman in college who could be a agent this year, he could be an accountant, he could be whatever, and Dallas Turner's 245 pounds, and you're going up against guys like, Rashawn Slater, Andrew Thomas, for example. You're going up against guys that are Pro Bowlers and are the best at what they do. And they're also, 5, 6, 7 years older than you at times. And those 5, 6, 7 years of lifting and to really, really put the pounds on in the weight room make a difference. And given that Dallas is 21 years old, I think the Vikings clearly have a plan with him. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but he's been disappointing so far this year. All right, Commanders Giants. And if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. Helps the chat or helps the stream tremendously. And appreciate everyone being in here. Let's see here. There's one game that I wanted to... the Little McMuffin's nice username. Plus Versus had a good year, and that also stings for that. But Versus is also 3 years older. So Versus is a great player, but it doesn't help the Dallas Turner draft pick right now that, again, Versus having a good year and will probably be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. So let's keep it going here. All right. Did somebody say Justin Herbert is brittle? That is funny if so. I didn't see that comment, but I saw a reply that said, how is he brittle? That's a funny comment. If somebody said Herbert is brittle. All right, let's keep it going here. Commanders Giants. Commanders last week, game of the year. Not game of the year, sorry. Definitely, let me back that up. Game finish of the year so far. Definitely not the game of the year. That was a very, very just not good game for 3.5 quarters. But the finish was awesome. So Commanders win last week. They win 18-15. And in the previous 5 games, they had 23 or more points, including 4 30-plus point games. And the big thing for me here is the Commanders, as simple as this one is, they have to, once they get to the red zone, they have to simply execute. I mean, that game against the Bears last week should not have been really anywhere as close to as it was. The Commanders were up 12-0. They had 4 field goals. You convert one of those field goals into a touchdown, we're talking about a completely different game. And a game that would not have went down to the wire the way that it did. Now, it's sunshine and rainbows because of the ending, because the Commanders won. But I do want to credit the Commanders defense last week for playing well, and they did. They held the Bears to 15 points, and they shut them out for a really good portion of that game. So, Commanders defense I've had a lot of concerns with, but I really thought they played well against the Bears, and technically in Week 7 against the Panthers as well, although, I mean, the Panthers, anyway. They play the Giants this week. I kind of go back to who are you going to trust to put up more points? Jaden Daniels or a Daniel Jones-led offense? And we've already seen more from Jaden Daniels in the first couple games of his career, handful of games of his career than we have with Daniel Jones, who's entering start like number 71 this Sunday. And the Giants have put up a grand total of 28 points in the last 3 games. And to me, it's also worth noting they're coming off a short week. They played in Pittsburgh on Monday night. I feel like it shouldn't be a surprise. I'm going with the Commanders in this one. Has Jaden Daniels had a better start to his career than RG3? That's a good question. I would say, personally, yes, only because RG started to hit the stride like late in the year. RG had the big 75-yard touchdown, rushing touchdown against the Vikings, and he was having a solid rookie year up until that, but when RG had that big touchdown against the Vikings, it was kind of like it took off after that. So I would say Jaden Daniels at this point better than RG3, and I actually don't think it's really all that close right now, and I think the numbers would back that up. But RG3's first touchdown against the Saints, when he went like this and then laid down in the Superdome, that's like one of the most pure aesthetic first passing touchdowns you'll see. That was a really, really cool moment. All right, Patriots Titans. Patriots are 2-6. They beat the Jets last week, 25-22. That was a game, especially after Drake May got hurt, I was definitely not expecting from the Patriots. So credit to Jacoby Brissett where it's due, because that was one I was shocked. The Titans last week, on the other hand, hold on, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. They lost, of course, but who? Oh, the Lions. Duh. The Lions smoked them 52-14. Poor special teams, poor offense, or just poor execution rather, because they turned the ball over a lot in that game. And the Titans right now in the last 3 weeks are getting outscored 106-41. Guys, I don't have a lot to say here. I think that the Patriots are underdogs, and I feel like that kind of surprises me, because I think the Titans are borderline Wait, Daniel Jones just got extended? What are you talking about? Okay, never mind. I thought you meant like again. I was like, what are you talking? Okay, I thought never mind. No, he got extended like a couple off seasons ago. That's not news. Anyway, guys, I feel like the Titans are they're just done. Like they just don't look like they want to be there, and I feel like you can tell when a team is just not fully bought in, and I feel like if you watch this team play, that's what it looks like for the Titans. And the Titans frustrate me because they have good players on this team. I mean, guys, they are still first in total yards allowed defensively. They are still first in total first downs allowed. They are fourth in net yards per passing attempt allowed. They are first in passing yards allowed. Like, they are not a bad team. And I really think this team is just lost because if you go back to that Bears game in week 1, of course, the Will Levis interception, the one, and then the red zone turnover against the Jets the next week. Guys, we're talking about a 2-0 start and a team that would be 3-4 right now that could very easily string together a couple wins. I mean, their schedule isn't all that bad, and you could be talking about a team that might finish 8-9, 9-8. Guys, this team just looks defeated. They really, really do. Now, I think they are the more talented team than the Patriots, but the Patriots are playing more just bought in right now. I know that's going to sound cliche, but they're more energetic. They're playing with purpose. And I know there's been some media comments about Gerard Mayo and the team playing soft and everything like that. But I really think the Patriots are going to go in and compete, and I think it's going to be like a 17-14 game, very low scoring game. I don't think either team's going to eclipse 20 points. But if the Patriots keep the turnovers in check, they don't beat themselves, they don't give away silly turnovers, I think they can win. I really do. The Titans they seem mentally checked out, and at this point, I worry about the future of Brian Callahan's job. I really do. And we're only 7 games into Brian Callahan's tenure, and I think that is a problem. So, I think the Patriots, it's just not a good look right now in Tennessee at all. All right. Blazer, I've seen this question a couple times. Do you think the Rams can draft Jalen Milroe or Quinn Ewers because they are most likely mid-first round pick or early second round pick? Under Stafford, future franchise quarterback, maybe Hall of Famer. So I do think Matt Stafford will get in the Hall, first off. The answer to that, man, I don't know what the Rams are going to do. And Sean McVay's only like 38, but coaching takes a toll. And we've heard about McVay potentially retiring before, or at least dabbling in media. And I think there's going to be a point where McVay has enough and takes a year or two off, and maybe even 3 years, because he's only like 38. He's still like the second youngest coach in the league, despite being there since 2017. So I think there's going to be a time where McVay takes a couple years off, enjoys the media, and then gets that urge to go back and coach again. The Rams' long-term outlook right now, for me, is, I wouldn't say bleak is the right word. I would say it's clouded, because I don't have any idea, guys. I think we're in the second to last year of Matt Stafford. I think next year will be the final year, but it's a clouded outlook for me right now. All right, as you're on YouTube full time, why don't you memberships enabled on your channel or even a Patreon? So I did have a Patreon. My thing with Patreon was I felt a pressure for people that were legitimately like giving a couple bucks a month to always include like extra content, and it's just a lot with that. Now, memberships I may do memberships at some point, and then do like a once a month chat, and I may look into memberships. Good question, by the way. I may look into memberships, and I'd like to do giveaways. I'd like to partner with a company where I could just, hey, let's give away an autographed jersey. I would like to do that regularly. We'll see. That's definitely something in the future, though. I do have a lot of good plans in the future that I am eager to discuss. But that would be, I think I am going to look into memberships at some point, for sure. Good question, by the way. All right, let's keep it going here. Jags Eagles. All right, hold on, I have a screen. Okay, there we go. Jags Eagles. All right, the Jags, believe it or not, have been playing better. Savala, no. Definitely a no on that one. All right, let's see here. I'm sure it's slow going, but you're doing fantastic. I do appreciate that more than you know. No, Brandon, we're not going down that route. Good questions, by the way, guys. I appreciate that, but that is funny. All right, so Jags Eagles. All right, BTJ time. BTJ unfortunately is out for a couple of weeks, but the Jags are 2-6. They, I would say, looked pretty decent last week against the Packers. I thought there was a chance they won the game. And 3-5 and 2-6, there's a big difference in those records. But here's what it's going to come down to for me for this game with the Jags. The Jags right now, they are, to me, kind of another frustrating team. There's been talks about Travis Etienne getting traded. The Jags are, as a team, they are 7th in yards per carry, but they're 25th in rushing attempts. Kind of frustrating whenever you have that success, but you are not running the football. I think Tank Bigsby has been a surprise this year, and a good surprise. But the big thing for me, guys, is if you're going to go into Philly, you're going to play a team as loaded as the Eagles are, and you don't have your number one receiver, and you're already reeling, I don't think there's a chance. I mean, there's a chance, of course. I would just be extremely surprised if the Jags, who have a coach that could be fired at any point after a loss, goes into Philly and win. Because Philly's starting to get some momentum. They have won 3 in a row, and they look like a completely different team than they did 2 weeks ago against the Browns. Because after the Browns game, that was tough. That whole situation was not pretty. And they've responded with outscoring their opponents 65-20 in the last 2 weeks, including a 20-point road win against the Bengals last week. Guys, the Eagles, even when they were 2-2, I was under the, I think Nick Sirianni should be fired train, but I was never like, hey, the Eagles are, I still think Nick Sirianni should be fired, but my point was they were underachieving relative to the talent they have, because they are such a talented football team. They have playmakers everywhere. And I don't see the Jags simply outscoring the Eagles in this game. So I am going to go with the Eagles to win, especially with their number one receiver out. All right, another good 4:00 game here, NFC West clash. We have Rams, Seahawks. All right. Skipped Bears Cards. Oh, I did. You're right. Good call. Appreciate that one. I had them on the screen too. Good call, by the way. Good call. You never gave your take. I'm sorry, guys. Look, I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. Left hand up. That was on me. But I don't know why I skipped over that one. I was too in the moment here. All right. Bears Cardinals. And I appreciate everyone calling that out to go back and discuss that game. So the Bears right now, guys, I think this is my whole thing with the Bears, is they're a decent team. I mean, I don't think anybody would deny that the Bears have a pretty talented roster, right? Even if you don't like the Bears. When you have a coach that is by far the worst coach in his division, Kevin O'Connell, Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur, no order there, by the way. I don't want to hear from Packers or Lions fans. That was no order. I was just naming them off. Ben Johnson would be a better coach than Matt Eberflus. Brian Flores would probably be a better coach, maybe even Jeff Hafley. It's tough for me to actually buy in with the Bears right now, especially after last week, because that was the whole Tyreek Stevenson thing was an embarrassment to the franchise, and that's either a thing your coach lets you do, or it's tough, man. Let's see here. And I did get distracted with the Patreon and the memberships and everything. So, yes, good call. And then even the OF joke, yes, I did get distracted. So, my thing with the Bears is, and this is a great comment here by Joseph, who is a Bears fan, is the Bears, if you tell me right now, hey, they go into Lambeau and win, I mean, it kind of would surprise me, Lambeau specifically, but I wouldn't say, hey, there's zero chance that happens, because the Bears, again, are a talented roster, and they can absolutely win this game. But, I mean, guys, I have a hard time buying in with Matt Eberflus, with Shane Waldron. The offensive line at times is certainly shaky, although they did play, well, the running game was fine last week, outside of the one play to Doug Kramer, which was a joke. But for the Cardinals are coming off of a big win over the Miami Dolphins, in which Marvin Harrison Jr. played well, by the way. I was really, really glad to see that. And the Cardinals are 4-4, and they play the Bears this week. They play the Jets next week. I don't think 6-4 is out of the equation for them. Now, this game for me is going to be kind of a open game for me with the Cardinals, where if they play well, I'm not going to buy all the way in, but I'm going to kind of like, all right, like let's kind of push a couple chips to the table with this team and with the future of this team being kind of legit and not the same old pushover Cardinals. So this is definitely a gateway game for the Cardinals, and especially next week against the Jets, where if they go to 6-4, we'd be cooking with something. So I didn't actually give a prediction yet, but I don't trust Matt Eberflus at all. And this could be a telling week. If the Bears go out there and get embarrassed, especially after what happened this past week with the way that game ended, I wouldn't be surprised. I know it's not a typical Bears thing with the McCaskies and everything, but I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Eberflus gets fired if they get embarrassed in this game. All right. Now we have, and I do think the Cardinals are going to win. All right. Flus finds a way to lose. Exactly. He always does. Shane Waldron with the clown emoji. Good call. Kramer is no fridge. Good call. And if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. We're up to almost 500 people watching. Appreciate everyone being in here, guys. Hopefully you guys are having a good Friday. And yeah, hopefully you guys are having a good Friday. Let's get the likes up to like 125, guys. Let's get it rolling here. Rams, Seahawks. Any plan to returning into college football on the second channel? Dude, I want to. I know people hate hearing this, but like it's just been, I get up, I work till I go to bed with the channel. And it's just like, I want to. Might be a week or two. We'll see. I have a couple things on the horizon that I've been working on. We'll see. All right, Rams, Seahawks. All right, let's go to, I want to discuss the Rams first. The Rams are 3-4. To me, guys, the Rams are the epitome. Caleb, appreciate the super chat, by the way. Best football YouTuber with the Hunter emoji. Appreciate that. And appreciate it. Keep it going here. Let's see. So, Rams, Seahawks, guys. The Rams beat the Vikings last week 30-20. A lot of people thought I was out of line to say that, hey, the Vikings are going to lose against the Rams, and I was kind of like, hey, look, we played the Lions the week before. I know my team, and the Vikings are a very frustrating team to root for. I'll just say that. But I think the Rams are the epitome of a team that they started out bad. Everybody, they were down. Everybody was down on them. They get a little healthy. They get Cooper back. They get Puka back. Although I think I saw something about Puka potentially, like, I don't know. I do want to confirm that one. But I do think Puka's questionable. I just got the update. Puka's questionable. The point is, the Rams' trajectory for me for here on out is up. And there's a big difference between 3-5 and 4-4. And I really think the Rams season, kind of like the Cardinals this week, I don't want to say it's like ride or die in this week, because even if the Cardinals win and improve to 5-4, even if the Rams would fall to 3-5, a 2-game lead in that division is not going to be detrimental. So I don't want to like imply that, but I think the Rams are starting to really rise back up, guys. I'm really buying in with the Rams. Really buying in with the Rams. Let's see here. Taker 610, appreciate the super chat. Stetson Bennett back on the Rams or washed out? I mean, he's not like gonna play ever, if that's what you're asking. Like Stetson's never gonna be like, oh man, you know who's starting this week in relief of Matt Stafford, or you know who's gonna get a chance is Stetson Bennett. Let me actually confirm where Stetson is. As far as I know, he's on the Rams. He is on the Rams. I think he's actually the emergency third quarterback, because I want to say Jimmy G is the backup. So I do appreciate the super chat, and he is the third quarterback. So let's go ahead and discuss the Seahawks now. The Seahawks right now have been very frustrating, because it's been a tale of just a couple of, like, it's just been a tale of two different games. They'll play a game where they look good. They'll play a game where you think, hey, not that they're Super Bowl champs, but hey, maybe they're a playoff team. Maybe they can win a playoff game. And then they put up a stinker. And the last couple of games, here's a perfect example. They allow 480 yards of offense to the 49ers. On Thursday night, they get smoked in front of everybody. That was just 4 days after they got beat by the Giants, and that game really wasn't all that close. I mean, the Giants beat them pretty good. They had over 400 yards of offense. Then they go down to the Big A. They beat the Falcons by 20, and then they lose by 3 scores last week to the Bills. Now, again, the Seahawks did have a couple of opportunities, but for as high as I am on the Rams, and as much as I'm thinking they're on the way back up, I do think the Rams are going to make the playoffs at this point. If that's any hot take I have, I do think the Rams, barring health, of course, I think the Rams will make the playoffs. Kind of out on Seattle right now. They're such a up and down team. You never know what you're going to get. And they started out 3-0 with wins over the Broncos, Bo Nix in his debut, the Patriots, Jacoby Brissett, and then the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson and Tyler Huntley. So take that kind of for what it's worth. Lions, Packers, time. This is, without a doubt, my favorite game of the 4 o'clock slate. Without a doubt. NFC North clash. Motor City, Dan Campbell against Matt LaFleur. Lions looking to improve to 7-1. Packers looking to improve. Oh, who did I pick? The Rams or Seahawks? Rams, by the way. Rams. Sorry. Rams. All right. I do think the Rams are going to win. Sorry. The Lions have put up at least 31 points in 3 of their last 4 games, including 3 games of 42 points or more. They are playing the Packers and a Jeff Hafley-led defense, and the Packers' defense this year has improved a lot from what it was last year under Joe Barry. Of course, Packers fans hated Joe Barry, and I completely understand why. But the big thing for this game is Jordan Love is questionable. And I don't know if you guys watched the Packers-Jags game last week, but there were times last week where it was brutal, man. It was brutal to sit and watch Jordan Love take hit after hit after hit. And there was a couple times where I was kind of thinking, Matt LaFleur, how long are you going to keep him in the game? Because it was bad. I also, to be completely honest with you guys, I do think the Lions are a more talented team than the Packers, and I think they're going to win. And also when you factor in that Jordan Love isn't fully 100%, he's questionable. He was limping at times pretty noticeably last week. And the Lions, I mean, they kind of treat every game like it's a Super Bowl. Credit to Dan Campbell for instilling that, that mindset and that belief into the team, because it's a lot easier said than done. And I will continue to say it. I think the Lions are going to the Super Bowl this year, and I think there's a chance that, especially if Jordan Love with the gunslinger mentality throws an interception early, and if he comes out and has a couple bad plays, that the Lions could step on their throat and this could get out of hand quick. Jeff Hafley's defense is going to need to step up, because this is going to be the most difficult challenge they face all year. So I'm going to go Lions, 31-21. The Lions they're one of the best teams in the NFL. To me, I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. They are an absolute unit. All right, here we go. Sunday Night Football. Lions over Packers. All right. Jordan Love is questionable. All right, Topher Brown, good comment, by the way. That got a chuckle on the air. Good comment, Topher. I credit you there. All right, let's see here. Let's keep it going. Packers will upset the Lions. Spicy take from Jacob, who is in Austria watching. McKinney is so soft, saying the Lions are disrespectful for winning. I mean, yeah, man. Like, if you win in the NFL, I don't care if you win a game, you win 10 games. Like, you know how hard it is to win a single game? It's yeah. Anyway, let's go here. Colts Vikings. The Colts had a pretty big week in the press. It was for not. Sorry about that. Anyway. Sorry about that. Colts were in the press this week for all the wrong reasons, and they go to Minnesota this week. They are starting Joe Flacco over Anthony Richardson. I personally think the Anthony Richardson decision is kind of more of a one-game punishment, and I get it. You don't want to have any sort of doubt or any sort of, hey, did I quit on the team, that type of thing, and I get it. There's 52 other guys in the locker room. It's just a tough look to try and defend for Shane Steichen with Anthony Richardson. So Joe Flacco is playing in this game, and unprofessional. I'm sorry, guys. But my point is, Joe Flacco gives this team a much better chance to win, than Anthony Richardson. And I will be honest, as a Vikings fan, I'm kind of scared about Flacco picking this defense apart. And one thing that I want you guys to know is the Vikings defense is 30th in passing yards allowed. I know the start to the season was awesome, and the Vikings allowed 30 total points in the first 3 games, but what I'm trying to say is there were chinks in the Vikings defense starting a couple weeks ago. It didn't just start with the Lions game. There were a lot of visible chinks in the armor in the Packers game in week 4, and I would argue there were some chinks in the armor in week 5 against the Jets. They just didn't capitalize. That's kind of been the story of the Jets season, but it's really, really been hammered home over the past couple weeks. And I'll just say this, The Vikings didn't lose the game against the Rams because of a missed face mask. They lost the game because they had like 5 total yards of offense in the second quarter, and they had like 9 total yards of offense in the fourth quarter. Half the game, they didn't do anything. You want to get upset about that. They had 14 points in the first quarter and 6 for the remaining 3 quarters. That was why the Vikings lost the game. That is one concern that I have with the Vikings moving forward, is can Kevin O'Connell consistently get results, and can he consistently, outside of the first quarter, put teams away? And it's been frustrating to sit back and watch this team go down the field for the first couple drives, watch them play well, and then sit on their hands over the next 3 quarters. This is going to be a test for the Vikings. They also lost Christian Darrisaw for the year last week due to a torn ACL and MCL. They traded for Cam Robinson. Guys, every time I pick against the Vikings, I don't have faith in my team. Every time I pick the Vikings, I'm a biased homer. But I know what my team is like whenever we play the backup quarterbacks, whenever we are favored in games, and we generally lose games we should win when it comes down to that. I mean, I think of Ben DiNucci going into US Bank and throwing for 300 yards in his first career start. Granted, that was under Mike Zimmer, and that was 4 years ago, but I'm so used to being hurt with this team. And my whole thing with the Vikings is I just think the Colts are going to win, man. I think the Colts are going to win. I really do. The Vikings defense has definitely shown a lot of chinks in the armor over the past couple weeks. I think it's going to be a good game on Sunday night, but I think I worry about Joe Flacco. And then I think the Colts are going to win. And I appreciate the super chat from Daniel. He says, "You'd be purple after choking for 50 years." Yeah, that's I do enjoy the Viking jokes, by the way. They are pretty funny. Still keep on losing. Skull. Yeah, that's another good one. Bucks Chiefs. My main thing for this is with the Bucks is you are playing one of the best defenses in the league, and you don't have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and that to me is the main storyline entering this game. Now I will credit the Bucks. They didn't play bad last week without them. Todd Bowles had a couple questionable decisions. There's a lot of in-game decisions that I question from Todd Bowles, and that's kind of why I worry about the Bucks, not because of the talent on the roster, because they are a very talented roster when healthy. But if you ask me who I think is going to win with a Todd Bowles coach team, knowing his in-game decision management is never the best, and you don't have your top 2 receivers who are 2 perennial 1,000-yard receivers, and you're on the road against an Andy Reid team and a Steve Spagnuolo defense, guys, I'm going to go with the Chiefs to win every time. Especially with Patrick Mahomes, the other quarterback. I know Mahomes obviously hasn't been good this year, but I am going to go with the Chiefs to win that game. I think it's going to be a close game, closer game than people probably want to admit, but I think the Chiefs are going to win. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Let's I guess, answer some questions now. All right. Mahomes hasn't been good. 0 losses. I mean, he has more interceptions than touchdowns, so it's not like Mahomes stinks. It's just he hasn't been... I mean, you guys know that. Come on. Chiefs loves playing down to competition. The thing is, the Chiefs find a way to win. Like, they always find a way to win. All right, can I talk about what the Eagles need to do to become a Super Bowl caliber team? Yes, fire Nick Sirianni. That is the main one. That is what they need to do. That is the big thing they need to do, is they need to fire Nick Sirianni. That is going to be one of the first steps to doing that. Let's keep it rolling here. Imagine Kansas City going undefeated. I would be pretty surprised if they went undefeated. I mean, that is insanely hard. There was a reason that only one 16-0 team ever went undefeated, and it was the 07 Patriots, and it took like 30 years, or it was like once in like 30 years for them to actually do that, so I'd be surprised. AK says, "I finally made it to a stream. What's up? How we doing? Glad you're here. Unfortunately, we just went over for all the games, so you're at the tail end. But it's we're having a good time. Do Bengals fire the Lou first or Zach Taylor? I hope Zach Taylor, man. But that's another thing. You want the Bengals to go to a Super Bowl? Zach Taylor has to go, man. Does Justin Herbert does he have a case for MVP? I would say no right now. Although Herbert has been playing really, really well over the past couple of weeks, and I've been really, really excited for that. In regards to your statement, there's no way Flus is fired during the season. I understand that. It's also just very frustrating with the McCaskies and not wanting to pay other coaches, and I get it, but it's also excuse me, it's also disrespectful to the fans. And I know they don't care about that. The bottom dollar is what means most to them, but it stinks. All right, did Dave Canales make it to year 2? Oh man, I feel like I'd say no at this point because David Tepper does not care about money. He's just like, hey, look, you're not getting results. See ya. So I feel like no at this point. Let's see here. How bad are the Bills going to beat my Fins this week? I would probably say 10 points. 10 points. Can you give me 3 locks for the 1 o'clock games? There is no such thing as a lock. If you are assuming, if you're talking about gambling, gamble responsibly, there is no such thing as a lock. But who wants to play for Tepper? Exactly. Or coach. And I know, yeah, exactly. That's you, Joseph. All right. Let's see. Who's the biggest threat to the Chiefs right now? I know the Ravens just lost last week, but Ravens would probably be the number 1 team just because of how well they can run the ball and how much of a pain in the rear end they are going to be to play. Stopping both Lamar and Derrick Henry, I'd probably say the Ravens. All right, let's see here. Thoughts on Jameis Winston? I'm a big Jameis guy, man. I love Jameis. He is, like, by far one of the most entertaining players to watch. I don't care what you he's not a top 5 quarterback, obviously, but he is awesome to watch play. Love Jameis. Big Jameis guy. All right. Let's see here. Rams were my preseason Super Bowl pick. That's spicy. That is spicy. I respect the spicy take. They were not my preseason Super Bowl pick, but I do respect the spicy take. I really do. Prediction for Penn State, Ohio State. Drew Aller's like questionable heading into the game. They said he's going to play. I think Ohio State's going to win. I do. The last time Penn State beat Ohio State was back in 2016. I was at the game. I also went on the field after the game. One of the coolest things ever. I could actually pull up the picture and then like hold my phone up to the camera. I'm not going to do that though. But it was awesome. That, like, talk about a once in a lifetime event. Being on campus that night, it was awesome. Like Penn State beating Ohio State 2016. Yeah, that was electric, man. Trace, Saquon, just awesome. The blocked kick, Marcus Allen, Grant Haley, awesome. But I do think Ohio State's going to win. Let's see here. Thoughts on Garrett Nussmeier? He's good, man. He's really good. He makes NFL throws every week. He's probably going to get pushed up in a bad draft class. I wouldn't be surprised to see a team take him in the top 50. I mean, he's going to get pushed up the board a lot. But would I trust him with a first-round pick and bet my job on it? I would not. Because that's more or less what you do when you take a quarterback in the first round. You are more or less saying, my job relies on this player. And there's not many examples where you can think of, okay, a team drafted a first-round bust at quarterback and saved their jobs. The big one, of course, is Trey Lance at number 3 overall, and then miraculously finding Brock Purdy. There's not many examples like that. Do I think the Saints will have a top 3 pick? No, I think they're too talented of a roster. I don't think they're a great roster, but they're not a bottom 3 roster. And I think they're going to win 6 to 8 games in typical Saints fashion. I think they'll finish with like the 9th to 12th pick, somewhere in there. All right. Best play-by-play caller in football. Play-by-play is different. Play-by-play, I like Ian Eagle. He's my guy. I love Ian Eagle. His son Noah Eagle does a really good job too on NBC for college football. But my favorite, I think it's called color commentators, I think is what the second guy is, like the second guy, like whatever. I think that's called color commentator, I think is the official term. Greg Olson is the best at that by far. I love Greg. He is awesome. All right. Let's see here. How much do you blame KOC for recent Vikings losses? Somebody said 50% regarding that. I don't know if the Lions game was tough, but like, I don't think we were going to win that game because, again, I think the Lions are a much better team than the Vikings are. So I would some in the Lions game, but not all that much. Not all that much, just because the Lions are so much of a better team. Now, the Rams game, kind of a decent amount because, like I said, we had a quarter where we had 5 yards, and then we had a quarter where we had like 7 yards or whatever it was. You have 2 quarters where you have 12 total yards. You're not going to win that game. I'm sorry. I mean, you're not, more often than not. So KOC frustrates me. All right, let's see here. Greg Olsen, most unnecessary hated man ever. Greg is a beast, man. He is awesome. All right, let's see here. Olsen is goated. I agree. Let's see here. Could Denver get Travis Hunter or Ashton Genty? Maybe Genty. They're going to be too far down to get Travis Hunter because they're playing too good of football, which is fine. I mean, they're playing really good. But, guys, that is going to wrap up today's stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys have a great start to the weekend. Announcement. There will not be a weekly recap Sunday. Not a normal weekly recap. It'll be like this, where we go over every game, and it'll be like, not that. It'll be like this. We'll go over after the games. I am a fan. I want to watch my team play, and if I do the weekly recap, there's no way that I'm going to be able to watch the Vikings game while stressfully making the weekly recap. There's not going to be a normal weekly recap this week. The Vikings are playing on Sunday night. I'm going to watch my team play. We will go live after the game, but I just wanted to make that announcement now. So, just to let you guys know, I'll probably put out a community post that there's going to be no weekly recap this week, at least not the normal one. So, sorry, but I am going to watch my team play. Liked your collab with Brandon Pern. Appreciate it. It was a nice surprise to see you there. He keeps me on my toes, man. He's awesome. I appreciate it. Love these streams. Appreciate it. Subbing. Appreciate that as well. If you're not already subbed, please subscribe. Helps the channel tremendously. But that'll be everything. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, today's stream, and I'll see you next time.